Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session. Before we go ahead and before we actually get to talk about product design and also DevOps, I thought about a great way to start the session today because, of course, I did prepare for the session we're about to have. So if you do give me your listening ear, trust me, you're gonna get the absolute best. But like I was saying. While I was preparing for the session, I thought to myself, what will be the best way to start all of this? What would be the best way to make the session even more memorable than it would have been? And I decided on asking a question, which I've not yet asked, to be fair. Okay, so I decided on asking a question at the start of the session, which I've not yet asked. But I'm going to go ahead and ask the question, and I hope that you are going to engage me by giving a response. And here's the question. Who do you think is more important? Is it the person that builds a product or the person that ensures the product works? I'll rephrase. Who is more important? The person that designs, let's say the person that designs a system or the person that designs a building. We could use a building, maybe the architect, okay? Who is more important? The architect or the engineer that builds maybe the structural engineer in this case that builds the actual building or the architect? Who is more important? And I need responses. I don't think I've said this, but if you've been in any one of my sessions before, you know that I'm all about communication. So when I speak, I expect that you also speak as well. Of course, yeah, everyone can't unmute, so we don't have a ruckus. But then how do you speak? How do you communicate with me? By using a chat box. So it's very, very important that we are all on the same plane, that we're all on the same frequency, so you can understand what I'm saying, so we can have a great time, so we don't have to end the session right now. So I'm gonna go back and ask my question again, believing that right now everyone understands that they have to respond. From admin to Aqua to Dami to David to Francis to Bemi to Joy to Oluwaseun to Amolara to Paul to Wumi to Uke and every other person that will join the call down the line. We already know that we have to respond. So I'm going to go ahead and ask my question again. Who is more important, the architect or the structural engineer? Or who is more important in building a product? The person designing the product or the person ensuring that the product runs? I can see comments are coming in. So Francis says the person who builds the product and the user. So Francis says what? That's what? The person who builds the product and the user. Those are the people that are actually important. So the person designing the product is not important. Admin is as a different idea that, oh, you know what? The person that's actually important is the architect, which is the person that designs the product. And okay says the structural engineer. iPhone says both. Joseph says who builds the product. Paul says the structural engineer. I need more responses. I need more responses. I don't think Omolera has given us a response. So I need more responses before we go ahead. Okay. So I think I got a response from Oluwaseun that they're both are important, just different roles. Everyone plays their path. Great. Now, that is a trick question. It was, or it is a trick question, because they're both equally important. You have the architect that designs what the user actually wants, and you have the engineer that ensures that whatever the architect designs or whatever has been built is actually, working, is actually what actually has been built was built in the right way. And that can be related to the product designer and also the DevOps engineer. The product designer ensuring that what the user wants It's what is being built, it's what is being designed. Because if the user doesn't want something, they're not going to end up using it. It's just like you. Let's say you love the color pink, and anything that's not pink, you don't want to use it. And then someone gives you a product and it has the color blue. It's very likely you're not going to use that product. Okay. And then the DevOps engineer ensures that that particular application, that product that was built, that has been designed, that has been built, is actually running the way it should. Because you don't want a situation where you log into an application and the application crashes. Okay. But we'll talk about all of that later on. I just wanted to ask that question to get our head space to understand where we are going to and where we need to start from. Thank you, everyone, and welcome once again to the masterclass. What we're going to particularly look at is the product designer versus the DevOps engineer. We're going to understand the roles, the skills, and the salary. The roles, the skills, and the salary. I'm sure everyone loves the salary. Okay. But before we go ahead, it's very, very important that I ensure that each and every one of us that we are together, that we are all here. So if you know you're good to go, I want you to send ice cream to the chat box. If you know you're good to go, I want you to send ice cream. Ice cream. Can you see ice cream? I want you to send ice cream to the chat box. I'll tell you why later. We are wondering why ice cream. I'll tell you why in due time. But if you know you're good to go, send ice cream to the chat box. Thank you very much. Okay, so okay is good to go. Tabitha is good to go as well. Ice cream. Olamide is good to go. Ice cream. Gbemi as well. Ice cream. Ice cream. You scream. We all scream for ice cream. Yeah. Oh, even Joseph had to give us the difference. Had to give us. We have the scoop. We have the ice cream cone. We have the one that you scoop. So thank you, everyone. So yeah, this is what we are looking at. Good to know that we're good to go. And if maybe this is the first time you're joining the Analytics session, you have no clue what we do, you have no idea what we are about, it's very, very easy. When it comes to analytics, all you have to remember, we've done a lot of things. We are a major player in the edtech industry, and we're an edtech company. But all of those things, if you can't remember all of those things, the most important thing that you should remember about analytics is the fact that we make your dreams come true. That's the most important thing for you to remember. If you don't remember, oh, it's analytics and edtech company, you've forgotten. What you should not forget is that analytics makes your dreams come true. That is what we do. That's what we're in the business of. And that's how we've been able to help over 3,000 individuals transition into tech. They had a dream of doing what? Oh, I want to move into a new career path. I want to leave what I'm doing at the moment to move into something better. I want to get into a career path where I know that I can have a good work-life balance where I'm earning, the Benjamins, even one more. And of course, I mean money by that, where you can work remotely, you can work at your own pace. You don't have to be taking, 5 different shifts, 10 different shifts, just trying to make ends meet. And we had individuals that were in that shield, and what they needed, what they wanted was someone that's going to be able to get them from where they are at the moment to where they want to be. And that's what we're in the business of doing. Having different programs from business analysis to data engineering to HR analytics to DevOps engineering, of course, product design, cybersecurity, data science, financial analytics, HR analytics, data engineering, all in all and all. And of course, the magical hands. We have lots of magical hands, people that actually ensure that your dream come true. Talking about the facilitators from the Fortune 500 companies, from companies like Microsoft, McKinsey, Amazon, all in the classes to ensure that they're able to give you the knowledge that you need. But that's about what we do. Again, if you forget everything, don't forget one thing, and that is we make your dreams come true. But what about me? I'm Aisha, Aisosa, Agmalaho, and I'm the lead in charge of training and operations at Analytics. So I have experience from data analytics to business analysis, power platform engineering, predictive AI engineering as well. When it comes automation to, I've worked in several organizations in several countries from the UK to Canada to Singapore Also the US. I've worked in hospitality with Bed Dog Hospitality in South Dakota in at the US and a couple of other things as well. I've also been able to train over 3,000 professionals across 4 continents. And I'm a good chess player. At least I love to believe. Okay. And so I can read minds, and I'll probably read your mind before the end of the session, and a couple of other things. But we're not here to see this amazing face. I'm not going to say handsome face, just in case there's some of you that have a different notion. So I'm not going to say that. So I don't shoot myself in the foot. Okay. But what are we doing today? What we are doing today is we're going to be looking at three different things: at the product design versus DevOps engineering, which is the reason why you're here, which is the reason why I'm here. And we're also going to understand the technical and employability skills that you need to be able to get a job. And also, we'll take a look at our upcoming cohorts, which starts in December 6th, and how you can get into that as well. But again, I need to confirm that we're together. So if you know you're with me, you know you're ready to get into the main business of the day. You know what to do. Send ice cream to the chat box. Ice cream. AGC, are you good to go? David, are you good to go? Okay. Edith, are you good to go? Simon Didier. Is that Drogba? Are you related to Drogba, Simon? Okay, if you know you're good to go, send ice cream to the chat box. Ice cream, ice cream, ice cream. I need ice cream from everyone. Or is it that we don't like ice cream? Okay, as adults, we try not to take too much sweet things. Yeah, 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 I know. Okay, okay, okay. Great, great, great. The approach that we're going to take in understanding the difference between a product designer and a DevOps engineer is by using a case study. We're going to look at a case study. We're going to use a case study to really understand what it takes to be a product designer and a DevOps engineer. Because one thing that I know, one thing that you probably would admit as well, is that many of us, we don't really understand what it means to be a DevOps engineer. We think we know, but we don't. Even for product designers, you think maybe a product designer is a UI UX person, someone that designs websites. And then for a DevOps engineer, you have absolutely no clue. I'm pretty sure you have no clue. So we're here to talk about these programs, we're here to talk about this career path and how lucrative and sweet they are. Keyword, sweet. Like I said, using a case study approach, we're going to be looking at this. What does this look like? What does this look like? What does this diagram look like? What does this diagram look like? This icon, what does it look like? A lantern? Lantern? Okay, Joseph says a house. Tabitha says a building. Are you guys sure? This looks like a lantern to me. It looks like a lantern. Like this is where you have the little wick and maybe you have some flames. It's a building. Okay. So looking at this building, yeah. So looking at this building, there's an organization, of course. Yes, that's a building. We have an organization that have a problem, and this organization we're going to use a health startup because for many of us, we can relate to working in the health space. So a digital health startup, Lifeline Health, they're building a remote patient monitoring system, RPM. So outpatients. We have the inpatients and you have the outpatients. Outpatients, patients live that are not in the hospital. They're outside. Maybe, for example, maybe diabetes, something. So they don't necessarily have to be admitted in the hospital, but at the end of the day, they are still patients. So you have outpatients, and this startup is trying to build an app that can monitor outpatients, that's the remote patients. And this app, it allows patients with chronic illnesses to log their vitals, receive medication reminders, and share real-time data with doctors. Because for outpatients, they usually don't have a constant monitoring system where, unlike for the patients in the hospital, where you have the nurses or you have the doctors doing the rounds every 2 hours, checking the vitals every 2 hours, depending on how critical that patient is, maybe every 2 hours, every 2 hours, all of that. For outpatients, that's really not there. Yeah, there could be visits, but not as frequently as those in the hospital. So this application is meant to ensure that the patient can log in their vitals. When it's time for them to take their meds, they get a notification, and the doctors are also able to track the performance of their patients. To build this, you need the developers, because the developers are the ones that are going to build the application. But we are not focusing on developers now. We're going to be focusing on two main teams. Two main teams. We're going to be focusing on two teams. Because to achieve this, the company would need two core teams. And I know I've said two teams for like the umpteenth time now, but please bear with me. Okay. Is it bear with me or bear with me? Yeah, I think it's bear with me, but please bear with me. So this company needs to hire two teams, two core teams that will help in ensuring that this application is brought to life, that this application works the way it should. You have the product designer, and you also have the DevOps engineer. The product designer, that's the product design team, and the DevOps engineering team, they are both going to be working on the same product, but their contributions and skill sets differ significantly. They're both working on the same thing, but they're not working on the same thing in the same way. So we're going to first of all take a look at the DevOps the product designer. What does the product designer do? Who wants to tell me? What do you think the product designer does? Does anyone want to tell me what the product designer does? You can, type. If you want to speak, maybe I can let one person speak. Okay, just one person. Can you use the raise hand icon and I would ask you to unmute. So you can tell us what the product designer does. Or instead, you can also use the chat box. Who do you think a product? And please don't go using ChatGPT or Google to search for answers. Just tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Okay. So who is the product designer? Who is the product designer? Come on, come on, come on, come on. I need answers. I need answers. Okay, you know what? If you can type the full thing, just say the first thing that comes to mind. When you get product design, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Okay, you know what? If you get this, if you send me, oh, I was about to say maybe give a gift, but Olamide has answered already. So Olamide says probably a product designer probably designs the interface, the products, the way the product looks to the user. More responses. Is that all? Is that all? Or you're waiting for me to say, oh, anyone that sends a response is going to get $500 on the spot? Is that what you're waiting for? Okay, so Joseph says the product designer interface and user accessibility. Product designer interface and user accessibility. Okay, so the product designer interacts with the interface that builds the interface and user accessibility. All right, then. More responses. Come on now. Come on, come on. Are we shy? I don't think I've heard from Wumi since the start of this session. But anyways, a product designer, just like we've mentioned, okay, just like Olamide and also Joseph mentioned, that there's a bit of truth in what they've said. They are correct, but not, but there's some key things missing. And we're going to look into that. But first of all, let's look at the problem. What problem does the DevOps, does the product designer fix or solve? Remember, this health startup that want to build a remote patient tracker monitoring application. So the problem is that we have patients that find existing health monitoring apps confusing and overwhelming. So for this patient, it's not like there's no app. It's not like this is a flagship product. There's actually something that exists for this patient. But the problem now is that at the moment, what exists does not work. And when I say it does not work, I don't mean that the app is broken, but it doesn't work because the users don't like what they see. The application is not user-friendly. There's no use, the usability is very, very low. You have so much going on the application, a whole lot going on in the application that is difficult for you to know what you should be doing at every point in time. That's a problem. Doctors are also complaining about cluttered dashboards and missing contextual insights. Building an application is not just about building the application. Designing an application is not just about designing the application. You have to design something, you have to build something that is user-friendly and that the usability is very, very high. Out there, you find applications that look good, but at the end of the day, these applications are not usable due to the fact that it's not the user experience is not great. When you're trying to do something on the application, maybe you're trying to search for a particular option or a particular function. It's not just out there. Probably you have to click on that, click on this, click on that, click on so many things for you to get that. An example, I don't know if we have gamers in the house. If you play games, is there anyone that plays games? Yeah. Even though you play games, give me a thumbs up. Okay, or you can just say into the chat box, I play games. Do you play games? If you play games, give me a thumbs up. And when I say if you play games, I'm not saying if you play Snake Zentia. If you know, I'm sure you guys know Snake Zentia from the then Nokia 3310. So there's no one that play games. Oh, I want to give an example. Okay, no one plays games here. Okay. That's fine. I don't play games. Okay, Joseph says I don't play games. That's fine. But there's this particular, okay, Olamide does. Thank you very much, Olamide. So there's this particular game called Eve. Eve. I don't know if you know it. Eve is a very old game. It has been around for, I think, years, like maybe 15 years old, 20 years old, but they are always updating it. It's called Eve. There's this game called Eve. Now, Eve is what you call an MM, like like an MMORPG or MMORG. But what MM means is massive multiplayer, like you have so many people playing the game. Now, why am I bringing this? When you look at the Eve interface, there's so much to do. It's all over the place. It's all over the place. And due to the way the game, due to the nature of the user experience and the user interface of the game, it makes it very, very difficult for new players to get into it. For those of you that might not understand my analogy, what you could do, maybe if you have the time, you could just go on Google and search for Eve and check for the image, like the image playthrough. There's so many options, so many things to do, so many things to click. I'm pretty sure Olamide does not even know Eve. Because usually when people say they play games, what they mean is they play FIFA and FC 25 or FC 26. Or maybe Candy Crush. Okay, that's what I mean by they play games. Yeah. But yeah, so but you can check that out, okay, if you have the time. So that being said, when you're building something, when you're designing something, you have to also have usability in mind. You have to have what? Usability in mind. So that's the current problem. And then the product designer is going to come in and fix this problem. What's the objective of the product designer? The product designer wants to design a simple keyword, simple, but not just simplicity that is boring, but simplicity that makes sense, simplicity that is delightful, simplicity that is medically compliant, simplicity that has a great user experience. Because when you do all of this together, when you build an application that is simple to use, like the interface is not looking clunky, but yet it is nice, it is delightful, it is compliant with whatever laws, it's going to increase it's going to increase it's going to increase the user traffic. You'd have more people wanting to use that application. So what is the designer going to do to be able to achieve this? That the product designer, because I'm saying right now that I said at the start of this, at the start of the product designer, when I started explaining what a product designer is, I said that the product designer is not just a UI UX designer. And right now, you might be wondering, I should say, but everything you've been explaining, saying is all about designing, designing, designing. Yeah, I know, but stick with me. So what is the product designer going to do? The product designer is going to first of all, conduct user research. UI UX designers rarely scratch that, don't conduct research. What they usually do is you have the stakeholders looking to build an application. You get a UI UX design, tell the person, this is what I want to build. I want the application to look this way. I want the website to look this way. Want it to look this way. Or I want it to look that way. And then the designer goes ahead to build something. A product designer doesn't just do that. A product designer carries out user research. So what this product designer would do? The product designer will go ahead to interview, let's say, 20 patients with diabetes, hypertension, and asthma. Because don't forget, this application is built for a specific target audience. This application is not just going to be built for everyone. No, this application is going to be built for the remote patients, also known as the patients. Also known as what? The outpatients. So if you're building an application or you're designing an application for outpatients, the people you should be speaking with are the outpatients. That's the reason why the product designer will go ahead to interview the 20 patients, say 20 patients, just to have a good sample size. With diabetes, hypertension, asthma, all of those illnesses. And then the product designer would observe how they currently log their vitals. The current application that these guys are using, that these people are using, how are they logging their vitals? How is it being used? How does the user utilize the application? And that's the current application that has not yet been redesigned. And then the product designer would then identify their pain point, say, okay, I forget to enter my vitals and the app feels complicated. Maybe that's what someone mentioned. One of the patients told the product designer, I always forget to enter my vitals due to the way the application is, or maybe I don't have a reminder and the app feels complicated. You know, those apps that once you open it, everything is just all over the place. It's really quite sad though that we don't know Eve. Eve is a perfect explanation of what I'm trying to think of another application that is all over the place, but nothing is coming to mind right now. So the product designer is able to identify their pain points, and then that's what move the product design to the next thing, which is the UX strategy. The product designer would then go ahead, that's UX strategy and plus information architecture. So the product designer would create a flow that requires, say, 2 tabs to log vitals. Unlike the current application where you have to log in, you click on this, you click on that, trying to before you're finally able to log in your vitals. The product designer will go ahead and create an application that once you log in, you only need two taps to log in your vitals. From having to make 8 to 10 taps to now having to make 2 taps. And when I say tap, I mean tap, like you tap your screen, tap, tap. So once you open the application, you just tap something, you tap again, and your vitals have been logged. Easy as pie. The product designer can also go ahead to say design a calming interface with large font sizes for elderly use because many outpatients are elderly. And so you don't want to be creating applications that have like little font size where it's very difficult for the user to know what is being written. So the product designer would then go ahead to design an interface that is calm. You don't need to have so much going on in that kind of application where maybe there's this bird that flies past the screen. No, the design doesn't have to be crazy. Looking at the users. And then the product designer would also go ahead to simplify the doctor's dashboard to focus on trends and not raw data dumps, so that it's also easier for the doctor to be able to track his or her patients. Because a doctor will probably have so many patients. They have the patients within the hospital, and they also have patients outside the hospital. So the doctor needs to be able to take a look at dashboards and see what they're looking for immediately, and not just seeing information about 1,000 patients at the same time. The product designer would also carry out the wireframes and the UI design, where they use low fidelity sketches. I'm sure you know what a wireframe is. If not, wireframe is just like a rough sketch of what your design is going to look like. So they're going to create like low fidelity sketches, Figma wireframes, say high fidelity UI screens, where they design the home page, the medication reminder screen, and design the doctor dashboard, also the highlights for critical vitals. And then usability testing, keyword usability testing. For many UI UX designers, as soon as they're done designing the application, that's it. They move on to the next project. But for a product designer, you don't move on to the next project. You run a prototype test using Figma with say 12 patients for you to see how new users are now interacting with your new design. And after the application has been built, you also get to track usability. Has there been an increase in traffic? Do you have more patients logging in their vitals now or not? If you know you're with me, you know what to do. Send ice cream to the chat box. You know what to do. You know what to do. Ice cream. Send ice cream to the chat box. Olamide has always been the first to respond. Olamide, I just might have something for you later on. Who knows? Okay. Thank you very much, Afolabi. Ice cream. I need more responses. Are we scared to type out ice cream? When was the last time you had ice cream? Probably you cannot even remember. You know what? Ask yourself, when was the last time you had fun as an adult? When was the last time you had fun? You probably cannot remember. And this is me not saying, oh, and maybe I ask when was the last time you had fun, and you tell me, oh, last week. And when I ask what you did last week, you tell me, oh, I went to the amusement park with my kids. That's no longer fun. Once your kids are with you, you're no longer having fun. You've switched to parenting mode. Okay. So please ensure that, you know what, very, very important. At the end of this session, think about when was the last time you had fun? Tomorrow or next week or something, just go out and it doesn't have to be extravagant. You could just maybe if you usually get one hot dog, get 2 hot dogs and just relax. Or you can go out with your spouse without the kids. Very, very important. So but that's just a little bit of advice. You didn't ask me for that, so apologies. But anyways, moving on. I'm glad that we're together. Thank you very much, Joseph. Thank you, Aruna. So now that we've understood what a product designer actually does, then we now have the uh we have DevOps engineer. Okay, we now have the DevOps engineer. What does the DevOps engineer do? The DevOps engineer is, let's look at the problem first of all, of course. So we have a problem where the DevOps engineer or Lifeline Health, which is the name of this startup, they expect 10,000 new patient signups per week. 10,000 new patients sign up per week. That application that the product designer has developed, has built. Now, we are expecting from our projections, we're looking at getting at least 10,000 new patients every week. And we're going to have a situation where real-time vitals will be streaming every minute. Because if you have 10,000 patients every week, you're going to have this patient logging in their vitals, that patient logging in their vitals, thousands, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of patients using the application at every minute. And this application has to be highly secured due to medical data and laws, such as HIPAA in the US, and then you have GDPR. Because HIPAA laws, of course, you have to ensure you, whatever you are building in the health sector, that you are compliant with HIPAA laws. So that's a problem for the DevOps engineer. The product design, their main task was to ensure that this application is well designed to fit the user. And now the DevOps engineer is looking at ensuring that this application does not break. That the application does not what? Does not break. Ensuring that it what? It works. Now, is the DevOps engineer the developer? The DevOps engineer, is the DevOps engineer the developer? It's a question I'm asking. Yes or no? Is the DevOps engineer the developer? Feed says no. Okay, Olamide says no. Great. And yes, you're correct. The DevOps engineer is not the developer. People really make this mistake because it's, just think about it. I just said something that like, oh, there's a problem for the DevOps engineer. And what's that? The fact that this application is going to be getting 10,000 users every week. They're going to have like lots of data in the application. It has to be compliant with laws. Are those not things the developer should be worried about? And not the DevOps engineer? Who really is a DevOps engineer? We're moving on. So that's the problem for the DevOps engineer. And what is the DevOps engineer objective? The DevOps engineer objective is to ensure that you have zero downtime deployments, as to ensure that there's secure storage of the medical data, has to ensure that the application has fast and consistent releases. And also ensures that there's a monitoring of vital streaming pipelines. In today's day and age, everyone works with the Agile framework, or at least most industries. And what does Agile say? Agile says that you don't have to wait to have a complete product before you ship it out to the users. That you can launch a product, get feedback from the users, and reiterate to make it better. It's largely due to Agile that we have what we call the versioning system, where you have applications with version 1, version 2.0, version 2, you see things like version 2.1384, version 2.1384, version, all of those kind of versions. Your WhatsApp has several versions. WhatsApp has Meta AI now. Not too long ago, there was no Meta AI. When WhatsApp was released, there was no status, but now there's the status. Now you can make calls. So all of these features were being added to the application at different times. So right now, WhatsApp might be in version 10.23456. Same as Instagram. Same as your bank applications. When an application has been built, The product team does not go to sleep. They are still working on that application, trying to make it even better. Why? Because there's always areas for improvement. So if we're having a situation where there's various applications that are being released, that there are various versions that are being released at several times, at different times, that means that there's also a tendency, there's a chance that you might go ahead, that there's a chance that there will be delay in release, that there will be delay in deployment. And what is deployment in this case? Where we currently have version 1 running. Version 1 is running. The developer has built version 2. Okay, now it's time for us to deploy version 2 so that all our users will now be using version 2. And while we're trying to deploy version 2, because version 2 is going to be replacing version 1, that will now lead to a situation where version 1 is no longer working. Because there's a transition. Version 2 is coming in, and so as version 2 is coming in, it's pushing out version 1. So version 2 is coming in, version 1 is going out. So that period where this was version 1 was stable, was working. And now the developer said, oh, it's time for us to push version 2. And so now version 2 is coming in, and as version 2 is coming in, version 1 is no longer stable because version 2 is now pushing version 1. So since version 2 is pushing version 1 is no longer working. So when you try to log into the application, you get things like 404, page not found. And now that version 1 is being sunset, version 2 that is supposed to take the place of version 1, because it has not fully been deployed, because it has not yet it has not yet been fully, like you see, as you look at my illustration, this version 1, this version 2. So you see version 2 pushing version 1, it's pushing version 1, it's still trying to push version 1, so version 2 has not yet settled in the system. So that means that for a period of time, version 1 is not working and version 2 is not working. Are you with me? Are we following? Okay, so you have a situation where version 1 and version 2, they are both not working. And that can lead to problems depending on how large that organization is. Think about it. Let's say your bank is launching a new version during the day. Usually when banks have downtimes, usually 2 a.m., but let's say they are having a downtime during the day. That means that you are not going to be able to do what? You're not going to be able to make transfers, withdraw money. If there's an emergency and you need cash at that point, there's absolutely nothing you can do, which is a problem. Or then you have situations like you have some application or maybe some servers that many companies depend on. Let's say Microsoft, for instance, say Microsoft is down. So that's a problem. So the DevOps engineer is one of the objectives of the DevOps engineer is to ensure that while you're having that switch, while version 2 is replacing version 1, that we're trying to reduce the downtime. In fact, make it 0. Where version 2 just comes in, version 1 is out, and the application is back on instantly. That's one of the objectives. So what does the data engineer, what does the DevOps engineer do? What does the DevOps engineer do? The DevOps engineer carries out something called infrastructure provisioning, where they can create a cloud infrastructure using something like Terraform, which is infrastructure as cloud. Deploy Kubernetes that's Kubernetes clusters to run microservices. That's trying to what's infrastructure provisioning? Infrastructure provisioning is trying to ensure that that infrastructure is functioning as it should. And then you also have the DevOps engineer carrying out the CI/CD pipeline, where they can go ahead to, configure, say, GitHub actions for automated testing. Because when the developer builds the application, or when the developer launches version 2, you have to test it. Because maybe version 2 means it's coming with new features. So maybe there's this new feature that the developer has added to version 2 that will make the application no longer run on, say, maybe Android 14. Because you have different versions of Android. Say you have Android 14. So it means that if version 2 goes out, users that use Android 14 would be having an issue. And yes, I said Android. I love Android, and I don't like Apple. For those that for my for those that know me, they know that about me. For you guys, probably don't know, but let's not get into that. So we don't have to fight on the call. The Apple versus Android. So we don't have to fight on the call. That'll be a topic for another day. Probably would have a master class where we just jump in and we're gonna debate all of this. But like I was saying, the DevOps engineer would also need to carry out automated testing so that you have a system that is able to test that version 2 before it is deployed. And that can be done using GitHub Actions. And then you also have container building, deployment to staging and production. And CI/CD pipeline would also ensure that the app can automatically roll back, because there are sometimes that you launch a new version of an application, and when you launch it, that application does not act the way you thought it would act. So the best situation at that point would be to do a rollback. So remember, this version 2 pushing that version 1. So it pushed that version 1 and it settled. And after version 2 settled, we noticed that, oh, this application is not actually working the way it should. Oh, what should we do? What should we do? Quickly. Oh, what we should do? Let's kick out version 2 and let's replace it with version 1. So version 1 has to come back and sit back there so everyone has access to version 1 again. The DevOps engineer is the one that is meant to ensure that there's a seamless flow if that has to happen. And there can be an automatic rollback to version 1 if version 2 is not functioning the way it should. Then you also have monitoring and logging, where the DevOps engineer can go ahead to set up something known as Prometheus or Grafana dashboards to track things like the API latency, to vital streaming throughput, I believe it's called, to also tracking error rates. And then you have security and compliance. And that is where the DevSecOps comes in. The development security operation, the DevSecOps. That's also another career path under DevOps, where you are implementing secret management and also enforcing least privileged access to running automated security scans, just to ensure that that system is well protected. And then you also have reliability engineering, where the DevOps engineer goes ahead to configure auto-scaling to handle vital spikes and also set up something known as load balancers, and can also simulate failure using chaos tests. That, okay, if this application was to fail right now, I want this application to fail and I want to see what's going to happen. That is the DevOps engineer. So everything I've said so far, we could compare using between the product designer and the DevOps engineer. Compare looking at the primary goal, the focus, the deliverables, the tools, the approach, and the end user. The primary goal being for the product designer, that's the product designer is meant to build usable, very, very important. Now, the product designer is meant to build what? Usable, beautiful, intuitive experience. That's the application. And the DevOps engineer is meant to build scalable, automated, reliable infrastructure. The DevOps engineer is very, very heavy on infrastructure, ensuring that the system works. What does the developer do? The developer builds the app or the website, whatever that has to whatever they are building. And the DevOps engineer ensures that the deployment, where this particular code that the developer has written, where it's going to be deployed, that it is working, that there's a system, that the entire infrastructure is functioning as it should. Because something that we probably don't know is that you don't just write code and just launch it. No, you don't just write code and say, oh, you don't just build an application and you just launch it that way. There are several things that have to come into place. First of all, you have to get the hosting provider. You have to understand what kind of cloud platform are you using. There's so many things that come into place. So the DevOps engineer is there to ensure that this infrastructure works, so that the developer can easily deploy their code, and operations is getting what they need to get from a particular application. Then we have the focus. The product designer focuses on human behavior, usability, and the feel of the product. The DevOps engineer focuses on systems, automation, performance, and reliability. The product designer on deliverables focuses on product types, the UI screens, and the design systems. And usability for DevOps engineer is the CI/CD, the servers, the pipelines, and infrastructures. When it comes to tools, the product designer works with your Figma, your Adobe XD, your Miro, your Sketch. The DevOps engineer works with Kubernetes. Call it Kubernetes. Some people call it Kubernetes. Whatever rocks your boat. You have Docker. You have Terraform, AWS, or GCP or Azure, any of them, for your cloud, and then your GitHub Actions. Also your Git as well. The product designer takes an approach. What's the approach the product designer takes? Understanding the user. Okay, what does the user want? The DevOps engineer takes an approach that ensures deployment and security and also uptime. What is uptime? That the application should remain up there. Who is responsible for ensuring that an application does not experience downtime is the DevOps engineer. Downtime, meaning it's not working. And for the end user, the product designer in this case is the patient, the doctors for this application, right? The end user for this application for the product designer is the doctors and also the patient. And for the DevOps engineer, who is the end user? Is the developers. Because if the developer writes code and goes ahead to launch that code, wants to, version 2 and launches it, deploys it, but the entire system fails, the DevOps engineer is the one responsible and not the developer. Do we understand? Do we understand? Are we together? Are we still here? Seems we are no longer here. Okay, thank you very much, Olamide. Olamide seems to be the only one here. Is that the case? Are we, we could end the session right now. I thought we were enjoying ourselves, but it seems like seems that's not the case. All right then. I think we can just end the session right now. Thank you very much, Olamide. Okay. No, so let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Great. So that's it. Okay, that's the difference between the product designer and the DevOps engineer. And I hope that right now you know who really a DevOps engineer is. But let's also take a look at one analogy. Let's take a look at one analogy. Think of building a hotel. Say you want to build a hotel. You want to build a hotel. Who is the first person you are going to call? You're going to call the architect. They're going to call who? They're going to call the architect. And what is the architect going to do? The architect is going to design your hotel, what it should look like, how every room should connect to every room. So just like that, just like the architect, the product designer is just like the architect. That's product design is the architect and the interior designer. They ensure that your space is beautiful, functional, and comfortable for guests. That's the architect. The architect and the interior designer will work together to ensure that the building is great, that the rooms are well designed, and your guests, remember you're building a hotel, your guests are happy, everyone loves your hotel. That's the product designer. And then for the DevOps is the engineering and utility team. It's just like you're building a hotel, right? You get your architect that's going to come in, help you design the entire space, and then you also get in the engineering and utility team. These are the people that would ensure that your hotel has power, your hotel has water, your hotel has elevators, your hotel has security systems. Your hotel is always running 24/7 with zero failure. That's the DevOps engineer. Both are essential and they solve different types of problems. So, what are the skills required to be a DevOps engineer? To be a DevOps engineer, key learning areas, key things that you have to know. You have to know your DevOps fundamentals, your Linux essentials. You have to know DevOps fundamentals on Linux. Linux is very, very important for you. You have, excuse me, you have to know your CI/CD foundation, your pipeline with Jenkins, and your GitHub actions, your artifact management, that's your Nexus and your Artifactory, your containerization with Docker, very, very important. I'm sure if you know Docker, probably you should know what I'm talking about. If not, that's fine. And then you have your Docker networking and volumes, your Kubernetes and cloud deployment, infrastructure as code and monitoring, and your DevSecOps. The tools that you'll be working with include the tools that you'll be working with include tools like your Docker. So this is Docker. This is your Docker. You have your Linux. You have your Git. You have your Kubernetes. You have your Azure for your cloud computing. You have your GitHub for pushing and pulling code, and a couple of others as well. That is what the DevOps engineer. Those are the skills. These are the tools you need to know how to use as a DevOps engineer. You also have Jenkins. And what's the length of the program? It's for 6 months. For you to be a DevOps engineer, you are going to be learning for 8 months. 8 months program. So you have to do 6 months intensive learning, understand how all of these tools work. Of course, there's a bit of coding as well. Maybe not a bit of coding. There's a lot of coding in DevOps. Okay, you're going to code. So DevOps, you learn all of the tools, and then you have for 6 months, and then you have a 2 months internship with Amdari. Your classes, you have classes on Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. West African time on Saturdays. And you also have the Watch Me Do It videos because it's a hybrid format that is used in teaching. And you also have the mentorship sessions by Thursday, 10 p.m. and 10 p.m. West African time for those in Europe, UK, and parts of Africa as well. And then you also have a mentorship session by 8 p.m. MST for those in Canada and the US, in the North American region, really. And what are the skills you need for the product design? For you to be a product designer, you need to understand UX foundations and research, your usability testing. You need to understand how to design wireframes, your visual design, and your prototyping. Knowing how to work with tools such as your Figma, such as your Framer, your Miro, your Notion. And the length of the program is for 4 months. You have 2 months of learning, so you learn for 3 months, and then you have 1 month internship with Amdari. Time for class being similar as the DevOps engineer, where you have classes on Saturday, every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. West African time. And of course, the mentorship session every Thursday, 10 p.m. for those in Europe, UK, Africa, and 8 p.m. MST for those in Canada and the US. This career path, the DevOps engineer and the product design, are very high in demand. Because I'm sure right now, one other thing that we might be wondering, we might be thinking, so, okay, I've heard you, I've seen all of these things, I've seen all of the skills, but is it really worth getting into? Because we also need to look at the pay as well, the Benjamins. What does it pay? What does it offer? But is it really worth getting into? The answer is yes. Because looking at the World Economic Forum, what we've understood is that there are certain roles that are going to be created and there are roles that are going to be destroyed due to new technology, of course, AI, and so many things. And the projection currently is that in the next 5 years, which is by 2030, that 170 million jobs would have been created. But while 170 million jobs will have been created, we're also going to have 92 million jobs that would have been destroyed. So whatever career path you're getting into, you want to ensure that it's part of those that will be created, those that you have more and more jobs being created, and not in the area of those that will, you get into a career path that after some months or after a year or two, you're being told to pack up. And that's why from the World Economic Forum, they released the list of jobs that will be increasing in demand, which are those jobs that you can see by the left. These are the roles that will be increasing in demand. And the ones by the right, these are the ones that are going to be decreasing in demand. And what you notice is that for the roles that will be increasing in demand, we have the DevOps engineering, as you can see, DevOps over here. And this is a public document. I'm a tad. Okay, so if you want to get access to this full document, just go online. Of course, once you get access to the slides, you can easily just click on this to get that downloaded. Or you can go online and search for the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs Report. And you're going to get a report. It's about 200 pages, 297 if I'm not mistaken. And you should get this around 27, page 27 or something. So it's a great read if you have the time to go through the entire thing for you to understand the future of jobs moving into the coming years and how you can better position yourself in the industry. And of course, you also have the product design, where you can see the UI UX designer. One of the great things is that as a product designer, you can work as a UI UX designer. That's it. As a product designer, you have several roles available to you, UI UX designing being one of them. And what about the pay? What's the pay like? If you're looking to be a DevOps engineer, what are you going to be looking at in terms of pay? In terms of pay for DevOps engineering in the UK, the median salary, and the keyword here is median. The median salary is £53,000, £53,000. And of course, median means you're going to have people that earn above this, and you have people that earn slightly below this. And then in Canada, you have 113,000 Canadian dollars, and in the US, 125 US dollars for DevOps engineers. And then for product designers in the UK, you're looking at around £46,000. And in Canada, 75,000 Canadian dollars. And in the US, just a little above six figures, being 102,000 US dollars. And for you to be able to get into any of this program, for you to be able to actually get the job, because one great thing about being a DevOps engineer and being a product designer is the fact that there are so many roles available to you. There are absolutely so many roles available to you. But there's a working formula that you need to do for you to be able to land the job. And the first thing in that formula or in that equation is the fact that you have to learn. You have to learn. You have to learn the in-demand career paths, which are a couple. And of course, in this case, being DevOps or product design. And you have to focus when you are learning. Very, very important. And then you have what? You have the package. Now, the package, this is where you put yourself, you are presenting and positioning yourself as the best candidate for the job. Because for many people, one of their major fear is the fact that, oh, if I'm looking to transition into a new career path and I don't have experience, how am I going to get a job? Because to be honest, when you go apply to any job, you are pretty sure you're going to see something like, oh, you need a year experience, you need 2 years experience, you need 2 years experience. So how are you going to get experience to get a job if you need to get a job to get experience? How does that work? Who knows? And that's the reason why it's great. So there are actually two ways for you to get experience. You have by working in the job, and of course, you also have what's known as the experiential learning by working on real life projects of people, by working on real life projects, similar projects that you would actually work on while you are in that role. And you put all of this in your portfolio. Your portfolio is what serves as proof of experience. Because anyone can go ahead and claim, oh, I have 2 years experience, I have 2 years experience, 5 years experience. What serves as proof of your experience is your portfolio. That's why when you're looking to apply to any job, you absolutely need to have a working portfolio. You need to have a great portfolio. And the way that's one major thing. And of course, to package yourself, several things that you have to do. You have to ensure that you have a great CV. You have to ensure that your LinkedIn is well optimized. You have a great portfolio, which I mentioned, that you are mentored. Absolutely, that you are mentored. Very, very important. At the start of the session, for those that joined on time, when the testimonials were playing, you notice that many of the participants, many of the people that gave their testimonials kept repeating one word, and that was mentorship, mentorship, mentorship. That's because we take mentorship very, very seriously. For you to be able to succeed, you need to be mentored by people that have been in where you were previously, that know what it takes to succeed, that will tell you that this is what you need to do to be able to succeed. So you get to do those things so you succeed. And and they will also tell you that these are the things you should not do. These are the things that will delay your success. So you don't do those things, and so your success is not delayed. So you need to be mentored. Then you have interview prep for when you get an interview to speak with someone that will prep you top to bottom, ensuring that you go back to that interview and that you ace it. And then, of course, job reference for when the recruiter wanted to provide a reference as proof of, okay, this person actually has the skills they claim they have. You'd always get that. And of course, on the job support. All of those things are things that we provide that's going to help package yourself, which will now help you in applying. Because for you to get a job, you need to apply. You need to apply, and you need to apply aggressively. You need to apply like a machine, not that you're applying to one job per day and say you want to get a job. How isn't that going to happen? At least 10 applications every day. Keyword 10 quality applications because your CV has to be tailored to every job you are applying to. All of these things put together, that is what would help you land that job. And we've had people that have tested that have gone through this, that use this formula and that were able to land the job. Looking at Judith, for instance, Judith had a background in HR back in Nigeria, and she worked as a carer while studying in the UK. This is a situation that many of us find ourselves right now. Okay, so we're currently working in care, we're currently working in the health sector, which is fine. And you have people that have been in this, that have done this before. And we're looking to say, okay, you know what? I want to do something else. I know that for many of us, that's the situation that we are currently in. Okay, we are currently working in care, and we're saying, you know what? I want to do something else. And that's not what we had for Judith. Had a background in HR, worked as a carer in the UK, and then what did she do? The first thing is that she had to learn. So Judith joined the Technologies Business Analysis program and completed that program. And after completing that program, she went ahead to package herself. And how did she do that? She tailored her CV to a business analyst CV, very, very important because your CV has to show that you have the experience that of the job you're trying to apply to. And in this case, you might be wondering, oh, I've not worked as a business analyst. So most of your experience is going to be based off the projects that you've worked on. Because don't forget, I mentioned that there are two ways to get experience. Number one is by working on that job, and number two is by working on that project. And of course, that is going to be backed up by your portfolio. And she joined all mentorship sessions, got prepped for multiple interviews, and of course, she went ahead to apply. She applied to multiple jobs, both in the UK and in the US, from the analytics job board, because yes, we do have a job board, and she tailored every application. And by doing all of these things, she was able to get a job. She landed a job as a business analyst in the US, working remotely from Huddersfield in the UK. And she got a job less than 4 months after completing the program. And that is something that you can achieve as well. Because we've had so many individuals, from Ikmat to Ramat to Toyi to Lois, so many people that were able to make that switch. And this is not just me saying. Once you get access to the slides, you can click on this link, click on the watch link to get to watch each and every one of these testimonials. To listen to people tell you how, oh, this was my situation before, and this is how analytics helped me. At the start of the session, I said something and I made it very clear. I said, if you know nothing about analytics, if you have absolutely no clue what analytics is about, don't forget one thing, and that is what will make your dreams come true. And that's what we've done for so many of our participants. Lois, to Ngozi, to Oluwadamilare, to Amaka, to so many people, to Pavel, okay, so many individuals that we've been able to help transition. And we could go on and on and on and on and on about this all day. To Benga, to Olugbaby, to Tosin. You can be one of them as well. So when I'm having a session like this, I'd also put you up and I'll show, oh, this was how we're able to assist Samuel. And Samuel is now a baller. Samuel is earning 7 figures, not even 6 figures. Okay, Samuel is earning 7 figures. Samuel, don't you want that? I'm sure Samuel wants that. Okay, earning 7 figures. That's the life. Excuse me. So that's yeah, we've been able to help so many individuals. I'm not even done. We have Hope that we helped transition. We have Oyefikayo that we helped transition. We have Adetayo that we helped transition to cybersecurity, to a lot of people, to Bisola, that's Olu Bisola, and so many individuals. And now for you, a question you should be asking is, how can you get started? It's easy. It's simple. Because we have a course which begins December 6th, and all you need to do is get registered. And the great thing about it is that right now, right here, right at this moment, we are offering a 50% discount for the first, we're offering a 50% discount to mark our 5-year anniversary. Because we are 5 years old, just in case you don't know. So we clocked 5 years not too long ago, and we had some organizations and some individuals that decided, you know what, we're going to sponsor people, help them transition, help them get into tech, help them achieve their dreams to mark Analytics at 5. So there's currently a 50% discount running for all our programs. For DevOps engineering, the amount is actually $1,000, but due to the 50% discount, you get to pay $500 instead. Okay, so you get to pay $500 instead. And if you're looking to go for the product design program, you get to pay $200 instead. And the great thing about this is you can break it down into multiple installments. So you can break this down into four installments. Just in case you're not looking to make the full payment. So if you want to make payments, how do you go about that? It's absolutely simple. All you have to do, click on the link. My colleague has just sent the link to the chat box. Okay, the link that contains my colleague has just sent a link to the chat box to the link to make payments. So once you click on that link, it's going to bring you over to this page. It's going to bring you over to this page. And once you come over to this page, you take a look at all of the different programs. So let's say, oh, you know what? I want to be a product design, a DevOps engineer. So you have product design, you also have DevOps engineering. So let's say, oh, I want to be a DevOps engineer. All you have to do, come over to DevOps engineering. You click on Buy Now. You click on Buy Now. And by doing so, you can download the brochure just to have an understanding of what the program entails. You can reach through all of this and scroll to the bottom, and you're going to see Enroll Now. So you can either click on Enroll Now at this point, or you can do that at the top. So you can click on Enroll Now, and once you do that, it's going to ask you to create an account. If you don't have a Analytics account, you just go ahead to sign up. You insert your email, your password. But for you click on this sign up here. See this button, sign up here. To sign up, it's going to send you an OTP. You sign up. But for me, I already have an account. So instead, I'm going to go ahead to sign in. So I'm going to go ahead to sign in. So I'll sign in. And then I can see my discount has been applied. So you can see over here, you have the currency. So if you are paying in Naira, you can go ahead and select Naira. Or if you're not paying dollars, you can go ahead and pay in dollars. You have this currency switch. Or if you want to pay in Canadian dollars, you can go ahead and select that. You want to pay in euros, or you want to pay in pounds. However you want to pay. We are there for you. So you get to select. Let's say you want to start. The next course begins December 6th. But let's say you don't want to begin December 6th, maybe you want to begin in January. So you can go ahead to select January 10th, which is when the next cohort is going to begin. Okay, the 10th of January, which is when the next cohort is going to begin. So you can go ahead and click on next, which is when the cohort after the December cohort is going to begin. Because for many of you, I'm sure you want to key to the discount, because come January, trust me, this 50% is not going to be there. I can assure you of that. So just in case, maybe you know what, oh, I want to actually key to the discount right now, then go ahead to make payment, and then defer to January by selecting January. But if you want to begin in December, so you can click on December, and then you have the full payment, you have the 2 monthly installments, the 4 monthly installment, or the 2 monthly installments. If you decide to make a full payment, you're going to get an extra you're going to get an extra, just a moment, just make this in USD. So you're going to get an extra $25 taken off. So don't forget, you qualify for the discounts, you get 50% off to marketing analytics at 5. You get 50% off. So you get to pay for $500 each set. But let's say you decide, you know what? I want to make this full payment. I don't want to break this down into multiple installments. I want to make the full payment. By doing so, you get to pay $475 instead. So you get an extra $25 taken off. And or if you also decide, you know what, I want to break this down into 2 monthly installments, just 2 monthly installments, you get to pay $237.05 each. Okay, you get to pay $237 and each. That's for the first month, and then the second month. And of course, by doing so, you are still going to get the extra $25 taken off. But if you want to go ahead and make payments, say break it down into 2 monthly installments or 4 monthly installments, so I'm going to have to end up paying the entire $500 instead, which I would say is also quite great. So that's I can take questions now. If you know you have a question for me, you can go ahead to ask a question. I'll take maybe a question or two, see how how far we can go, and we call it a day. But just before we take the questions, if you know you had a great time, you enjoyed the session, please send ice cream. You know what to do. Send ice cream to the chat box if you know you actually enjoyed the session. You really now understand what a DevOps engineer does, because I'm sure that's something that has been confusing you for a while. Thank you very much, Olamide. Thank you so much. Thank you, Olamide. I need more responses. Okay, did you have a great time? Samsung, Mike, Labake, Joy, Joel, Ife, Ibukun, Bemi, Feeds, Dell, Admin, Adebayo, everyone. I need responses. So we didn't have a great time. Oh, that's too bad. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Olamide, and thank you, Baby. Do we have questions? Do we have questions? Even though you have a question, you can use the raise hand icon. Oh, thank you very much, Mike. I'm glad we had a great time. Okay, so if you have a question, please you can use the raise hand icon, ask a question, and we'll call it today. If not, that's fine. If maybe you have a question later on after the session has ended, all you have to do, you can just quickly go to the group chat and you're going to see a link telling you, okay, click on this link to book a session with a professional, just for you to be able to have a one-on-one conversation. So I can see Feeds is asking, DevOps is $1,000. Is that correct? Yes, you are correct, Feeds. DevOps is $1,000, but right now there's a 50% discount running. Okay, there's a 50% discount running, so you're going to be paying $500 instead. But that's just right now due to the fact that we are having our 5-year anniversary. Okay, so it's $1,000, but you're going to pay $500 if you qualify for the discount anyways, because the discount slots are filling fast. As soon as they're out of funds, then that's going to be the end of the discount, because while you're paying 50%, there's someone else, there are other organizations and some sponsors that are paying your order, paying the balance on your behalf. So where's the discount? All you have to do, I showed that earlier. Maybe I should share my screen again. So once you click on the link that my colleague has sent to the chat box, and you select the program you're looking to register for, and you come over here, you're going to see 50% discount applied. So you see this is a discount applied. So you're going to see the amounts that you pay instead. You can see right here, it's $500 instead, if you're paying in dollars. Okay, so the discounts will be automatically applied. Just go ahead to click on that link, and click on that link, then click on that link, get to make payments, and if the discount is still running, it will be automatically applied. Okay, so any other question? Are we all good to go? All right then. It seems we're good to go. So I had a great time, and I believe that we did as well. Thank you for joining me. Please ensure you go ahead to make payment quickly, because as I always say, there's something we tell our kids, and I'm going to be telling you as well. And that is quick, quick, says the clock. Whatever you have to do, do ensure you do quick. Cheers.